Let's bring in Carrie Kupek Urban. So, Carrie, I guess the big question is, what is the charge? Like, what is it that the former president is being charged? What's the crime that he committed?
Well, technically, according to the DA, he's being charged with falsifying business records. Except there's one problem. The statute of limitations has ran out on that. So in order to revive that case, he has somehow manufactured these very low-level misdemeanor charges into felonies by saying, well, he falsified those records and to conceal an underlying crime. The problem is, no one really understands what the underlying crime is because it's not in the indictment, and Bragg only talked about it afterwards in a press conference and said vaguely that he had violated state and federal election laws.
So let me get this straight. We're going into a trial, and his team doesn't even know how to argue this case because they don't know the details.
Right, and that's one of the most troubling aspects of this case, not just because it's Donald Trump, just because, you know, in America, we're supposed to have a free and fair justice system, and one of the critical components of that is to know what you're being charged with. The accused has the right to know what they're being accused of, right? That's a hallmark of the Sixth Amendment in the Constitution, something we're all guaranteed to have. And so the fact that Bragg only talked about it after the fact in a press conference, and to look at it, you say, okay, well, if he's concealing a crime and it involves state and federal election law, how could they do that unless somehow Bragg is converting the hush money payments into basically campaign contributions to himself? Like Donald Trump contributed to himself and then didn't report it as such. So Charlie's laughing because it's ridiculous.
So we're talking about a paperwork violation here in the worst case, if he's guilty of it. And he's looking at jail time. There's no victim. Right. Would be a victimless paperwork, but so what is the appeal process? I mean, as a non-lawyer looking at this, I just assume, okay, well, this whole thing really is rigged. How does it? What does the appeal process look like?
Well, if the jury returns a sentence where they convict him in some way of these crimes, then he would appeal that. But at this point, and I mean this very sincerely, I am convinced that the New York justice system is determined to crush Donald Trump, and they'll do whatever it takes, including abusing the law. We've already seen them do it once with the Letitia James case, so they're crushing him financially there. And now it appears they're attempting to remove him altogether from public life by bootstrapping these misdemeanors to felonies, which carry jail time. 4 years, by the way, up to 4 years per charge. So do the math, 34 times 4.
And the judge will sentence him, right? How long do you expect this trial to go? And do you think that the judge, if he's found guilty, will throw him in prison?
Altogether, about 6 to 8 weeks. We could see this wrap by Memorial Day. So you're looking potentially at that week before Memorial Day with the case, the closing arguments being presented to a jury, the jury returning a verdict. And then if, they convict him, the appeals process would play out at that point. One
of the key witnesses will be Michael Cohen. He's got some issues, but we know a lot of times witnesses are devastating, like Sammy the Bull, for example. Killed a bunch of people, but he was used as a government witness. Here's Michael Cohen's problem, and it's Michael Cohen.
I will be in D.C. and in New York, anywhere Mr.